All right. How's everybody doing out there? How's the audio? We'll start up just a second. I'm going to trim this when I save it for real. So, okay. Is the audio good? Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback on that. Hope everyone's doing. I'm trapped in less than ideal circumstance and yeah, in the basement. So, man, I wish I was back at work in my studio, but we'll do our best here. All right, so let's have a look. I thought we would, with Alias 2021 just launching, I thought I would do a quick kind of rundown of the Retopo tool. It's probably, well, I shouldn't say my favorite tool, but it's definitely up there and cool, especially if you're coming from sub-D workflows from, say, Maya, Modo. I'm sure every other package that does sub-Ds. But this is the first time for Alias to be able to do the Retopology workflow. And I think as the first go, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. You know, Autodesk tends to integrate technology and then refine over a series of dot releases or full releases. So as the first go, I think it's pretty complete. And if you guys are doing this type of work, or if you've never seen it before, I definitely think it's worth knowing it's there and be able to kind of experiment with it to see where you can use it. Now, I've had the honor, thank you Autodesk, to be able to work on the beta version. I was working on a project with Autodesk. Can't wait for them to announce it officially. But yeah, I had a chance to work on this quite a bit, but I still haven't learned all of the limitations or how I can really, what I like to call, exploit this tool to make it work for me. Because at the end of the day, I want to drive the tool as opposed to the tool driving me. So let's flip over to Alias and have a look. I've loaded a full car here. This is some mesh data. Let's see what it looks like underneath. Yeah, so I've got the whole car in the background. We're just going to work on the front. So I'm going to hide all of that. And let's reshade or not. Of course. Oh, I see. If this ever happens to you, this is a good chance. You know, I don't see any data here. And if you just look at the title bar, there is not a perspective window. So sometimes when you switch over your stage using the Alt key, your perspective window will disappear. So that was not good. We don't want that. And yeah, so here's the data. Now, just to let you know, I'm using the transparency settings. And if you notice, it kind of looks like camouflage. This is because I have the mesh density turned down. I'm on a laptop, and I find that the GeForce cards, they don't run with all the wireframe draw. They're just not the best performance. So I'm going to just use the reduction in the mesh density, and I don't think that will hurt us, but it might give us a little better screen performance. So, and then I'm going to adjust the transparency to loosen that up. So I guess we'll start with a few questions. I'm really curious, who has done or used retopology workflows in other applications? If you could just drop a comment below, that would be great. I would love to know what applications you've used and if you even are familiar with this process. I'll give just a few minutes for that. Another question is if you guys have used the sub-D tools in 2020. I think it was 2020 they were introduced. It may have been 2019. But yeah, if you've used them before, I would love to know. Because I think for Alias, this is a really promising technology integration. And the way they have approached it is hands down, well, it's the best for our type of environment, our engineering, our CAS related modeling task. Because you can be very precise like an engineer, and you can also have the loose, freeform organic ability like you would find in a polygon modeling tool. Polygon modeling tools don't lend themselves directly to automotive because a lot of times we talk in terms of exact measurements. You know, give me a 5mm radius. I want a 3mm gap. Make that, you know, whatever, 100 mils over. Those things are somewhat difficult in a polygon tool. And whereas inside of Alias, because the limit surface is a NURBS surface, it's represented as a continuous NURBS surface, we get all of the benefits of a NURBS tool. So let's just jump right in. I have a scan here. This is a scan of a race car I've been working on. So, you know, it's if anybody's interested, it's a race car replica, an RCR SLC super light car. They're a fantastic component race car, and yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to them because this data has been awesome. So the first thing you'll want to do is, well, check this out. This is great. In 2021, you know, we've always had these workflows, but now in 2021, they've introduced a subdiv workflow. So if I switch the subdiv workflow, awesome. Now I have, actually, let's just delete some of this stuff to make it a little smaller. I have a shelf that's specific to sub-D workflows. So we'll just make that a little smaller. And my marking menus now are for sub-Ds, which is great because in 2020, you couldn't have, or it was not easy to have variations in your marking menus where you could just quickly flip between NURBS modeling type of, you know, wear that hat, and sub-D. So with the workflows, I'll switch over to sub-D. Now all of my marking menus are for sub-D workflow. I've created this shelf. It's basically the default shelf. It's in addition to my other two advanced tabs that I use, one for workstation when I'm working on a massive monitor, and the laptop version is for this rig, which is much smaller display. So I'll go to sub-Ds. I have the mesh selected, and let's go into tools just to show you. Right there, subdiv Retopo Tool. It's also in my shelf. So I'll open that up. And if we look at the prompt line, it was going, here, let me actually go into it blank. Pick the projection targets. Subdiv or Retopo Tool works by making the object, the underlying object, basically a magnet. Everything you do will stick to that, much like a blend curve or, well, mainly blend curves, right? And that's awesome because I get all of the ability to click right onto the surface, the mesh, or the sub-D from this tool. Now, I don't have to have an underlying object selected, but in this case, obviously, I'm going to rebuild this mesh. So I'll select it and hit next. Now, if I already had a subdiv object attached to this part or within the scene, I could select that at this point, which I don't have. And you'll see this really cool index right at the bottom, or actually, I guess it's, there we go. Over there on the opposite side as my talking head, and that index, or what would you call that? A little guide. There's got to be a better name for it. This gives you all of the functionality of this tool. So let's just go through a few of the steps to get started, and then I'll talk about what I've learned from this tool and maybe ways that you can use it in your own workflow. So I have the mesh started. I'm going to go, and we'll just do half of the car. And instead of trying to match it along the center line, we'll take care of that later. And the first things first, I'm just going to place some points. And let's just get crazy here for a second, right? So here I've just got points. I think you can see those all over the screen. Let's turn down our mesh a little bit just so we can really see it. And if I hold down Shift, it automatically will try to connect those points to create a quad sub-D. right? So here they're kind of a mess. So I'm just going to undo those. And you can either start by just clicking, let's say, 4 corners and then build a quad. Or in my case, I'm just going to build a couple of them just to get started, just to show you, this is possible. So sometimes, wow, that's not straight at all. Okay, let's straighten that out a little bit. Here we go. We're going down the center of the car. So, we'll just place some, doesn't really matter. And now I'll hold shift. And once I hold shift, now that first quad is placed. And then I can immediately go in and make some adjustments. I can grab the edge. I can grab the point. I can hold shift and it will create the next one. All right, so that's cool. I'll hold shift again to create that, what's that, third. And now we're already starting. And notice the points are stuck to the mesh. And this is really cool, but do note, the underlying subdiv surface, unless you have a lot of topology, a lot of points, it's going to be slightly below the surface or above, depending on the condition. So it's not basically matching or rebuilding the scan per se with the limit surface, but just the cage, the actual points. So that's something just to be aware of, that, hopefully there's something that can be done in the future. I could see like an offset or something from that to be able to really get it much closer, whatever. So I've already got these 3. Now, instead of clicking the extra points, what I want to do here is just hold down the shift, left click, and I can just drag another edge out. So I can make these as large as I want. I can get it right up to the edge. And that's awesome. There's my first strip of the sub D. And then if you look over here, the way this guide works is if I just click, it's all of the items on the top row, right? So draw and move, loop, and relax. And I'll talk about relax. Definitely stick around for that because that's awesome. If I add or hold down one of the clutch keys, shift, control, or control alt, then I get these functionalities. So shift, and I just left click, it's create face, extend edge, insert edge. If I use control, I'm deleting things. If I use control alt, I can cut them. So I'm just going to hold down shift, and I'm going to do middle mouse button, and it's going to extend the entire loop. So that's sweet, right? So I've already got that middle loop of faces, and now I can just come in here and extend these. And I could see in the future being able to pull in some of the CV move tools where I could really start skewing these or extend one side more than the other. But for right now, I can't really do that, but I can keep everything nice and square. Oh, hold on a sec. There we go. Middle mouse button. And I'll just kind of replace those. And I'll probably want to pull these ones in. So I'm going to just do that real quick, because you always want your topology to basically flow, with the character lines and things. And so I'm just going to place these out here. And just to let you know, I haven't practiced this on this file. This is literally setting this up and just going. Yeah, so we might have some technical difficulties, but yeah, whatever. It's totally cool. So yeah, I'm just going, want to grab this one, pull this out, and just start laying all of these points onto our mesh. And we can deal with these corners here in a little bit. Something like that. We'll start walking this one around, and we would probably want to give these just a little bit more room as it came off of this piece here, because all those CV, or all the points, control vertices, CVs, are going to flow along here. And yeah, that's looking pretty sweet. And then I'm just going to hold shift, middle mouse button, drag this out, and we'll probably won't complete the whole car, but I'll show you some ways that I approach this, just to get going. At this point, I could just stop and start building over here, right? And then I'll bridge these 2 points later, so that's always possible as well. So I can work on 2 separate meshes at the same time, or sorry, sub Ds, and then just use the bridge tool to span between those at a later time. So sometimes it just makes sense to stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin. No, I'm just kidding. yeah, just to start building these ones separately. So, and one thing with sub Ds, you always want to basically match the edges. Otherwise, you're going to have to worry about chasing those loops to track them down. So we'll just do something like this and like that. Cool. And again, these are already snapping, so that's awesome. So I've got those two pieces, and I believe I can, and I'm gonna just do this. I don't believe there's a bridge function, so you can exit the tool. So I'll just do that, and I'll click here. And what I'm doing here is holding down Shift, and I'm gonna use my add selection. So selection options. My add is the right mouse button. I believe the default add is in the middle. So if you're using defaults, it would be the middle. But you want to set this to your add. Great. And then what that allows you to do is select one point or edge, hold Shift, and add the entire loop of selections between those. And we'll bridge. And we could go with two divisions here. Where's my interface? Awesome. It's like stuck on the other screen. There we go. And we'll just change the divisions down to 1, right? And then I'll query edit, and I'll go back into the tool. And now we're right back into the topology tool. So let's say, for example, I didn't like the placement of one of these rows. Let's look for one that's kind of jacked up. Yeah, that's cool. We'll work with this one, and I'm going to hold Control, middle mouse button, delete. And then if I want to add another edge, I'm going to hit Shift, and you can see right on the mesh is, well, first of all, let's take a look at this. Check this out. Whoops, not that one. Middle mouse button. What am I doing? There we go. So see, you can see the mesh is essentially underneath our object at this point, right? Because we're not seeing any of the wireframe draw. Now, if I come in here and I'm going to insert edge, which is Shift, left click, and you can see the preview. And as soon as I insert this edge, boom, snaps up to the mesh. So that's awesome. All right, so now I just kind of reordered that. Non-destructive, pretty easy way of working. And that's awesome. And then if I want to do anything, I can say middle mouse button, drag these edges around. That's cool. Watch this. Everybody pay attention to this. This is class. This is amazing. Just playing. So, when I'm Class A modeling, well, when I'm modeling in general, I'm trying to get all of my CVs to flow really nicely. And if we go to top view, often I use tools like this where, I'll scrunch these down. So I'm scaling the viewport, not scaling the object, just your window. And clearly you can see the Z pattern, that's happening, the back and forth zigzags. And that's not pretty. That's less than ideal, by all means. We'll toggle that off. So you'd have to go in there and adjust the CVs pretty manually. But inside of the Retopo tool, if I just see it as relax and I right mouse button on that, look at what's going on. So it's basically doing a smoothing operation on these points, and it kind of brings them all back into a really nice organized line. Now, it's universally, it's not very controlled or, it works really well, but it's not following, any character lines by any means. But what a great way just to help clean up any, ups and downs or undulations. And because you're in the tool, it's always snapping to the mesh. So that's bonus, right? That's awesome. And then let's see, let's find an area that could use adjustment. For example, like in this area, if I wanted to get a quad in here, so I'm going to use the Control-Alt left click, and I'm going to cut. And as I cut, you can see that it's automatically forming that part or that piece. And let's see, no, because that will make that a 5. Well, then I would have to insert an edge, which is totally fine. Not quite what I wanted to do. I'm just looking at this corner of how I would resolve that. You know, I'd probably cut that one. Whoops, did that just... did. I was hoping that point would stay because of that. But in that case, you know, all I would do is add a little piece here. And then I'll cut that, and you know, you can see that those two. And check this out as well. It's magnet snap. So it just, whoops, didn't want that. So now it just combined those two. And then I could go in here and, you know, just start making adjustments. I'd probably want to add a loop coming down this way. And yeah, let's go ahead and fix this. Here, I was just grabbing face. I'm just realigning these ones. And now from here, I'm going to use the cut function again, Control Alt, and just go straight across all of those pieces. We'll go from there, and I'll go there. And so now we end up with quads. We've got a little... Oh, I see. Why is that not move? Oh, I exited the tool. There we go. And you know, you'll want to do hold edges like this all around the edge, kind of a ribbon shape that tracks around. But you know, now we're back into a quad and we get a nice corner. Looks like, yeah, just go ahead and pull that out. So it doesn't automatically snap, which is a little weird, but you know, we'll give them a break. And then I'm just going to right click to relax all this stuff. So that's cool. So cut, we saw deleting of edges, all sorts of stuff like that. Let's take a look at the options real quick before I open it up to a couple questions. And we'll go to pull the options up. Snap distance is how close those points are before they snap. Hopefully they get edge snapping in the next dot release, because that would be really nice. Right now I believe it's only point snap is from what I see. And then the relax strength, which is fine, the defaults. And then the last one that's really cool is persistent projection. And what persistent projection means, well, first of all, let's just do this, turn it off, exit the tool. I'll grab some points and move them. So see how I'm able to snap that, pull that right off of the scan. So, you know, maybe I'm trying to get it close, and then I'm going to use, let's say, CV move, you know, and we'll just go normal. There we go. So, you know, maybe I'm trying to match the scan a little better. So I'll just go normal to the surface, slightly off of it. But if I want to come in here and make a few changes, and I want them to always snap, I'm going to turn persistent on. And now what happens, wait, did I, helps if I do that? And now what happens is when I move them, see how it re-snaps to that point? So now, if I want to nail the center line, I'm just going to grab these points, hold Alt, doop, all vertical line, or you know, snap to the grid. I have persistent on, so we know that they're snapped to the grid. And yeah, now that's awesome. Now that's something, now I can go back into the tool and keep going, and I know that center line is spot on and stuck to the scan, which is really cool. So, and then usually I just turn it off just to, in my mind, it seems to help me, you know, manage that. So that's, in a nutshell, that is some of the cool stuff you can do with the Retopo tool. And yeah, does anybody have any questions? I haven't looked at the chat here. Are you using the middle mouse button to move these points? Left click, great question, Colin. Left click is how I'm dragging those points, and I believe, yeah, if you just click up here, this click is implying draw and move is your left click on that. So that's a great question. Yeah, no problem to do this. Yes, there is a Retopo tool in the student version. I think, I don't work for Autodesk, so, but the student version, I believe, is always basically the retail, the commercial version, just with a unique license agreement. So there is no Retopo. You said there's no. Now, are you in Alias? Are you in Surface or Auto Studio, maybe one of the versions of Alias doesn't have the retopo, but 2021, which just was announced a couple days ago, I think last week, should have the Retopo tool. And again, here's what the icon looks like. It's pretty awesome. What's up, Benjamin? How you doing? Yeah, awesome. My pleasure, man. My pleasure. I love doing these videos. This stuff, I get so excited about the simplest things. But the sub-D tools, yeah, are a really good reason to get excited about this. So let's go ahead and let's just do a few things. Let's do scan. I'm going to just hide these. And then we'll do sub-D. And then, by the way, a lot of people ask, just take this. I'm going to mirror. I'm going to use the mirror function. And then I'm going to weld. And welding has a few options here. But the one that I like to use is tolerance when I'm doing the center line. And then I just bounding box. And now that's one mesh. Just like that. And this is a good example. So I just welded those and it deleted the retopo features of this mesh. And so I believe, let's just try this out. So I believe if I go into the tool, it'll ask for the projection target. This is like the destination if you're using the dynamic shape modeling tools. Yeah, this is what we're going to be modeling on top of. I'll hit next, and then I'll grab the sub-D that I want. I'll hit go, and now it just converted that to work with the retopo workflow. And so now you can see that it recognized all of the cage, and I'm able to move those just like I had never kind of left the tool. So that's, yeah, just really cool that it does all of that. Now, here I just pulled one side out. Let's try this. I haven't tried this before. I've got this selected. Symmetrical modeling. Oh, it wants to delete history. All right, let's try it. Sure. Okay. So I've got symmetrical modeling turned on. Symmetrical modeling allows me to model both sides. Can you go into the Retopo tool? No, that would be so awesome, right? Select that. Select that. Whoops. Helps if I accept it, which I didn't. Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. Symmetrical modeling doesn't work with this. Well, hopefully they get that taken care of, because that would be sweet. Carzalis, Auto Studio, that is strange. And you are in 2021. 2021 should have the Retopo tool found under the subdivision menu, subdiv Retopo. If it's not, that's a bummer. That wouldn't be smart on their part, or at least, well, yeah, I'm sure they have some analytics for that, but yeah, so I would expect 2021 would have it. I hope so, because students, this is really good stuff to learn and to at least understand how to do this stuff quickly. So Retopo and Mio. Oh, it's built on, it's the same mentality, right? I believe well, I don't really know, but Maya and Alias, a lot of people are cross-divisional. They work on different stuff, so hopefully there's a lot of similarities in the mathematics in that. So, but there you can offset created surface. Yeah, we had mentioned that earlier, right? Where I hope they implement some of the features of other applications in this, but for a version 1 release, pretty cool. So I'll give them a little leeway on that. Let's hope. That would have been cool for sure. I mean, like I said, the feedback. One thing, a lot of people don't take advantage of this. Under the community forums or idea station, this here will take you to a website that you can input or have place a request or suggestion, and then people can upvote and downvote that, which is a great way to give them feedback. So when I worked for Alias or Autodesk at the time, so many people would say they need something. It's like, well, did you tell anyone? You know, like, because, you know, they wouldn't know unless somebody mentions it. So let's all pile on and get these tools done. Awesome. Hey, Kevin, thanks for the feedback. Rockstar for sure. So, awesome. Cool. And let's just check out one other thing. I want to do that while I have everybody on, and you know, some things I'm still learning all of this. So I love experimenting in front of people, especially. It really, well, it's challenging. So we'll just come in here and, all right, so I've got the most amazing NURBS surface ever, right? You guys have, this is good stuff. This is really advanced. And it's a plane that's been sculpted. And I'm pretty sure, if I have this as my target, let's try it. Can I click on this NURBS? Oh, dude, look at that. Sweet. And then we'll pull this out. Let's just create, yeah. Awesome. Middle mouse button, drag in that. So, you know, notice it's sticking to the surface. The cages, let's relax some of that, straighten it out. Sweet. And then one of the key things I would want to do, let's try this. It's probably, well, I won't say it. That'll jinx me. Let's do persistent projection. And let's cross our fingers. So let's, I'm going to use the assign shader, and let's just copy this and we'll make it some glorious color. Okay, so we got blue. So you can see that it's slightly below the surface because the cage is up top. This is where an offset would be awesome, but doesn't have it right now, no big deal. Okay, so we've got our sub D, we've got our NURBS. I'm gonna grab these points. Persistence turned on. Oh, that would have been cool. I was hoping that we could snap to the NURBS surface and then move the NURBS and have it update. Let me make sure that persistent is turned on. Yeah. Now, what I think I have played with this before, and what I think happens is if you go back into the tool and you just do anything, it will automatically snap back down. You know, so that's, the functionality is there, but it's not, because what I could foresee is you're modeling, you know, with NURBS, right? And you come up to a detail and you're not quite sure how you want to resolve it, or maybe you've got your slabs done, right? And you hand it to the designer or whoever else is working on the creative side, or yourself, it doesn't matter, and you mock up the shapes that you want with sub Ds. So you use the Retopo tool, you build a patch like this, right? And whoops, let me just snap these guys down so everything's clean. So we've got this. You model in concept what you want. So for example, if I just grab, let me switch my workflow back to sub Ds, grab my face, and you know, let's say we want to put a wart on this. Oh, that's funny. Oh, look at that. As soon as I pulled it up, it snapped back down to the surface. So let's undo that. Let's go back to our settings. Like I said, I'm winging this. I haven't done a lot of this stuff. So select the face. I turned off persistent, and then we'll extrude. Ah, yeah, there you go. Build your shapes that you want, whatever that is, all in concept, and it would be sweet. Now I could see maybe the downside to that is if you modify this, you know, that original piece would modify, but this gives you a chance to kind of experiment locally with sub Ds in a really easy method on top of your NURBS. And because they're both NURBS, let's switch back. You know, I could take this and I'm just going to do a project normal on all of these edges. Oops. Project normal. what I want to do is I want to turn off my cage. All right. Project normal, and I'm going to project with the NURBS limit surface. Ah! I need chain select here. All right, almost there. Boom. Trim. Now it won't match perfectly, but you know, the ability to modify or to make kind of just real localized pieces. See, that's where it would just be awesome if they blended. Now we could align those and that would work, but you guys see where I'm going. Like this tool, man, it's really powerful. That's why I'm kind of sharing it first, because I love it with the mesh, but that's maybe completely inappropriate. It's looks more like a nipple. So, but you guys get the point. That's horrible. So, that's pretty funny. But you get where I'm going with that. Yeah, so please, if you come up with a really cool workflow, add it to the comments. I would love to know how you guys use this or some of the ideas for that. Oh, it's been a long month. So, any questions? That's not R-rated. That would have been cool. Alias 2021 version. Yeah, Carzalis. That's I think what you got to do. So, all right. Yeah. Any questions on the Retopo tool? I think this week I'm going to try to find some time to do a reaction for the 2021 release and maybe go through all of the cool features that I've found so far. Maybe even just go through the What's New guide and comment on those and maybe show you some quick examples. Oh, get it together. So, yeah, anyway. Really cool stuff. I'm gonna just kind of hang out here for a second, and if you have any questions, let me know. One thing, if you guys are here, yeah, lulls for sure. You guys have to look at this history visualizer. This has got to be the coolest thing outside of the Retopo tool. We now get a node-based history graph. Hold on, let me falling off my chair. This is amazing. So hopefully next time I stream, I'm gonna go through this in depth. I've seen some really cool things. Here's one little thing you can do. Take a square, right? You got 4 curves to find your patch. One of those curves, create a new one, right? Whatever, new shape, new CV numbers, and come in here, and your square, you can reconnect 4 new curves to the existing square, and it will rebuild it based off those curves. Like, that's awesome. So many times I want to keep the same surface. Maybe I have things aligned to it, but I want to change the underlying curves or swap them out, and you can't do that. We're now here. You can just reconnect like what curves a bi-rail is creating or built from. Or maybe you select a curve by accident instead of selecting a surface edge, so you're not able to get a continuity. Just switch it. Switch to the edge. Unconnect the curve, reconnect the surface. Rebuilds. Awesome. So this thing is really cool. Node-based history visualizer. I'm just really excited about this. You can see how I think Dynamo kind of is driving some of this. Maybe don't know, but the mentality of that seems pretty familiar. So, can you convert sub Ds to a B rep? What's a B rep again? You can convert sub Ds to NURBS. You can convert sub Ds to a to a mesh. 2 different types of meshes. One is based off of the Maya smoothing. What do they call that? 1 second, let's grab it. Just show this mesh tessellation. No. Sub D. Where is that? It's up here. Sub D to NURBS. No, that's. Oh God. Why am I not finding that? I thought it was right here. Let me make sure I'm in long menus. Long. Subdiv. Extract face. No. That's really weird. I thought under Tessellation there was a sub D to mesh, and that uses the the conversion from Maya. So you set a level as opposed to a tessellation amount. But yeah, that's what I know. I haven't tried this working with 360, Fusion 360, or going to, what is it, Speedform, which is more of a T-spline type of workflow. They're similar, but very different at the end of the day. Uploaded, so yes, you can, Colin, no problem. Definitely. Awesome. Yeah, that's strange. Give me 1 second here. Let me switch. I think the default There's no way they can move that. Subdivision, primitives. Yeah, I'll have to, I might put this in the comments. But subdiv to mesh. Keep original, that's how you would extract it. Huh. Don't know. NURBS to Bezier, but surface from subdiv, that's conversion there. Don't know. Maybe that was something that didn't make it. Or maybe, no, this is surface, so maybe that's in Auto Studio. Don't know. It seems like I had seen it before. Maybe I'm mistaken. Export. Anyway, any other questions about the tool? How many people have downloaded 2021 already or checked out the what's new? It's working. Hey, did you guys see that? I don't know what I did. That's weird. So look I had symmetrical modeling turned on, then I just went back into the tool, and now when I click and drag, it's dragging both sides out. So that is working. That's awesome. That's really cool. Wow. Well, that's neat. Let's go there and, oh, is there something here? I'm gonna delete that. Pull that one out. We'll just connect these guys. So again, like I said, if you just move the points, they'll reconnect, they snap. But I really hope they get edge snapping set up. It seems like that would have been a smart move, or something that, you know, everybody could use, edge snapping with that. And then, yeah, look at it, it's going on the other side. So that's sweet. So I don't know what I did, but it worked. Yeah, right. Subdiv to mesh is good for 3D printing. That's absolutely right. The one that I played with, I thought I just showed it the other day. Yeah, it basically allowed all of the mesh or the NURBS limit surfaces to be automatically stitched together. If you do a NURBS to mesh, then each of these patches are separate. But where in the world is it? Default. And I thought it was here. Yeah, because we don't want tessellation, because this will make a tessellation for each boundary. Let me just do this real quick. Import. Sure. I've got a lot of options here. I don't know. Maybe there was. Maybe I'm I don't know what to say. That Advanced 2021. Yeah. I'll have to find out about that, of where that went. Maybe it's not in Surface. You know, that's certainly possible. Oops, I got to reset this up. Transparency. Cool. Any other questions? I'm just waiting to see if anybody does. We'll just keep modeling. Pull these pieces down. Yeah, probably doesn't make sense to really do that one all together. Cool. Well, I don't see any more questions. Thanks everybody for joining, and I will save this and post the final version probably later today. So I'll trim front and back off. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are the best. Let's have a great year and get through this and get back to work and do some amazing stuff. Rock on. Peace. Oh yeah. Keep surfing. Later.